motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping me motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Keep all the real niggas motivated. Keep all them little niggas motivated. Maybach 600, it drove her crazy. Sure they gon' do it, she motivated. I've been neglecting the rover lately. I've been neglecting the sober lately.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Ray L. Welcome to another episode of the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left of me, I got my man Trizz. Trizz, what's going on, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. It's a blessing to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. So, Trizz, his Instagram page has really been catching a lot of eyes lately through all the fantastic flips that he's done in the real estate area. But we're going to learn about him as a person. We're going to learn about some of his downfalls. We're going to learn about some of his progressive strides. So, Trizz, where are you born and raised?
Boston, Mass. Right in the city, man. My parents has got a house. We've been there 30 years, right in Rosendale. So I'm just a city kid, man, through and through.
And what high school did you go to?
I actually went to two. I started out at John D. O'Brien High School, which is right there by the Reggie Lewis Center, right in Roxbury. I went there from 7th grade till 11th grade. And then that's when I kind of hit the switch, honestly, for life. And I transferred. I went to prep school with Brimmer and May in Chestnut Hill, and kind of never looked back from there.
Okay. And were you playing ball at the prep school?
Yeah. So I went there for basketball. That was something I pursued. Early on, for me, it was a way out. Was basketball. True to God, like it was a way you get a scholarship. We didn't have the money to pay for me to go to school. I understood that, and I didn't want student loans. That was something I understood. Like, man, I don't know. I was 15 understanding that, man.
That's crazy because like most of America doesn't understand
That's
that.
A fact.
That's
a fact.
You learned that early.
It's a fact.
What position did you play?
I played the three, but early on I started out as like the 5, bro.
Oh wow.
That's what makes the jump. I'm in 7th, 8th grade with play the 5, post up. You know what I mean? You get on the AAU circuit, you see Lance Stevenson, he's 6'5", he's running a point.
Right.
You're like, man, what are we doing? We don't got a shot.
Right.
So that was one of the things, like I said, that propelled me was I came back to and just really looked at what we were doing, and by the blessings, we had a good group of guys around me. Shout out to the bro, Ike A. You know what I mean? He's with the Knicks right now, coaching. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. So in a similar path. And so what I say that is to say, like, those was the moments that made me jump. And I went to prep school to work on that craft to secure my way out.
Right. What kind of offers did you get?
I had a lot of Division II offers. I had some Division I's. My first offer, honestly, was Colgate. Colgate University. I had Colgate. I ended up going to Bryant ultimately. In the end, I thought it was a great fit. Business school, 45 minutes from home. Like, how could we go wrong? That was what I was thinking, and we went wrong. So,
all right. And what years did you go to Bryant?
So I went to Bryant 2010. Now I graduated 2010. So the 2010 season till 2012. So I went there 2 years. I redshirted my first year, and that was a business move. Again, this is true to me, is I redshirted that first year in order to be able to get my master's in my 5th year, and they would pay for it. And so that was one of the reasons why I was like, man, I'm going to go here. It's a business school. Like, it's one of the best in the countries, and I can get my master's from them in 5 years, and I'm redshirting, and I'm getting to still play. It just made all the sense. So that's where that went. But obviously, when I got there, things didn't really pan the way I would have thought. We didn't really win. It wasn't really a cultural fit. So I made a decision then. And again, this is true to my story. It's about being able to make changes on the fly. I think that's something that's very important in life. I think a lot of people get lost in. It's like, yo, you're living. You know what I'm saying? You can't get stuck in the situation and complain. Like, it's bad. You're going to have to read and evaluate that, but you got to be able to make them decisions. And for me, I was there 2 years. I was like, this ain't it,
And now, being there for only 2 years, you had that redshirt year. So did you kind of feel like that you wasted that time because your long term plan was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have them pay for my masters. But if you're only there for 2 years, then that kind of gets, you know.
And that's great. Yo, bro, man, everything, yes, that's how I felt at first, man. And then I went to transfer, and I was in that portal, and it didn't go the way I thought it would. You know what I mean? Like, I got calls, but I didn't get the amount of outreach I thought I would, because there was 300 guys in the portal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm off a red shirt campaign. I played 1 year. I played good minutes. I didn't put up good numbers necessarily. Like, if you check my rebound per minute, you check them stats, like, it's statistically astronomical. But when you look at the whole package, like, my temps is not even there, bro. I'm talking like I'm going games, not even putting 2 shots up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the mental piece of the game at that point. So I had like a little mental piece of that, and so I transferred, and I didn't end up getting as much as I would have liked, and this is a god for me at that point, because I ended up I went to Tuskegee. A friend of mine's Alan Harris, shout out to my guy. You know, he was like, man, let's go to Tuskegee, let's go check it out. And so we went out there. Coach was interested in us both going there, and I went there. It was cool. It wasn't really necessarily what I was looking for. You know, you're going from a Division I school, again, where we're at Division I, it was like a low major. Division I, it's not even like, yeah, high major, but to drop down to a Division II and an HBCU at that, you know, it just, you could see the disparity in like what was available to the students. What was even just available from a monetary standpoint was just limited. But you know, ultimately, I ended up going there, and I was just like, man, I'm just gonna go here, and that was probably the best thing I ever did in my life, man.
Now, you know, you mentioned a little bit earlier that like the culture of Bryant, you weren't really meshing well with.
Nah.
You want to shed a little bit more light on that? Like, was it the lack of diversity? Was it, I don't know. You
Yeah,
explain.
yeah. I mean, definitely. I think there's a thing of just, you know, like, mindset for me, and like how you think, and that's very important for me to be around people that think progressively and are creative in that way, and they're outside the box, and you know, institutional ways of learning, or colleges, if you would, right? But what that experience looks like is very different depending on who's there. And if you go to Brian, I can tell you, man, this is the average week there, man. We all gonna go to class. It's gonna be real mundane. It's business school, kind of generally just dry. There's no other school there, so you don't have no arts. You didn't have no. You had, you know, you didn't have like, you know, animals. You had no vet school. You had nothing else. You're in a building with just people that think about business, marketers, you know, financial analysts, accountings. Like, that's what you're dealing with. And so when you really step back and you look at it, it's like, man, like, what kind of experience are you getting? And then when you really think, like, what percentage of those people go out and sit in a cubicle after that job, after that school?
A lot.
And so when I really start now at this age, I'm able to look at it and dissect it. I'm like, yo, that's why I didn't fit. You know what I'm saying? I go to corporate America, ultimately, same vibes. I don't fit in this, bro. You know, I'm a very high performer because I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? So I excel great. You love me, a high producer. But the problem with that world in corporate America is, you know, the reward for good work is more work. And then, you know, then we don't really want to pay you at the end of the day.
So, you know, you change schools. I'm assuming you get your bachelor's from there.
Yeah, so I get my bachelor's. No, at Bryant.
No.
At Tuskegee, yeah.
Yep.
So I finished at Tuskegee, man. I ended up just leaving there. I finished graduated. I didn't take the 5th year. I had more eligibility. Actually, I got hurt one year I was there, so I didn't even play. But, you know, I ended up playing 1 year at Tuskegee. Like, no, 2 years. I lied. I played the first year, got hurt. And then I came back the next year. We played. We go to the Elite Eight. You know what I'm saying? So we got Elite Eight. I would have never got that at Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Like, not happening. And so I end up with this thing, and I'm like, oh, this is dope. And then at the same time that I'm doing that, my junior year, I interned at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a dope thing I picked up. So I'm in Arkansas, in Bentonville, at the headquarters, you know, working at literally the headquarters of Walmart. It's the #1 company in the world at the time. I was working in the merchandising department. So at the time, I don't even know if I can go through this. I'm assuming I can, because It's flagged now, but they at the time I had an internship working on what Walmart calls small formats, and pretty much what it is it was their way of trying to get into the urban city areas because they're boxed out because of how big the store footprint is. So, for example, you can't get a Walmart store super center in the middle of Providence, in the middle of Dorchester. But if you look at like Target has figured out how to be by Fenway. They're in a lot of more like I know they're in Rosnell Square. It just depends. They found a way to get.
I never thought about it. Like
yeah,
that.
and that's what that was. So I'm a junior in college, working in a small formats form. You know what I'm saying? I got a picture on my IG in a jet. I took the jet to go see the one in North Carolina.
Wow.
So at those moments for me, like everything started to like come together. I started looking at my community differently. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh wow, so there is no Walmart here. So that means like I go to Walmart to get milk, cookies, whatever, super center. I can get stuff that's cheap. Well, the person that makes less money than me might not have a car. There's no train that goes right to Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So you're paying a premium on your stuff because the guy that has the least prices, the lowest prices boxed out. Now you start to look at like, food deserts, and this is where we get too deep, but like that was like my first way of looking at it. And I started to realize like, yo, man, like I could chase hoop or I could go make real money like early. You know what I'm saying? Like I came out of college, when I left Walmart, that internship, I had an offer letter for 60 grand.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I was coming out of college making 60 grand. At the time, my parents, I think my dad probably had just retired at the time, but no, my dad had been retired actually. My mom had just retired at the time. And at that time, they're coming off of jobs. They was making like $8,000 an hour, $11,000 an hour. You know what I'm saying? That's back them times. I'm born in the 90s, so I'm getting a 60 grand coming out of college. I'm like, oh. And I'm already, I'm, as we can clearly talk about, I'm financially, aware. I was when my dad had retired and rewind, right? So how'd I pay for prep school? I obviously got a good financial package, but my dad retired. And so you get like, when you're under 18, Social Security benefits, you can get benefits because your parents retire, so they pay you a benefit. So my dad retired, and so, that's how I even talked them to let me go to prep school. I was like, man, they didn't even know I was even applying.
Mm.
But so whatever, how I applied, I like, that's a whole nother story. But I ended up telling them, like my parents, when it came down to it, that I got in and I could go. I was like, look, tell them I pay for it. I get that check every month, like let me use that towards it. And this is how it all come together, and it was done.
So you're working at Walmart now.
Yeah.
You're still down south, or?
Yeah, so I drove down. I actually drove to Tuskegee, and I got that internship. I drove from Tuskegee down to Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? And I had the Mercury Sable at the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Bought that $1,800 first car.
So how'd you make your way back up to Mass?
So up to Mass, what ends up happening, man, is I ended up rescinding the offer from Walmart. I ended up not taking that offer and telling them like, look, I want to go back closer to home. I didn't want to go to Arkansas. I just had to pivot, and Raytheon had offered me a job, and I joined that job, and I was in a rotational program called the Financial Leadership Development Program, and so that job was 6-month rotations, 4 different jobs, 2 years, and then you could move. So that's how I also got my way to Cali. So they paid for me to move to Cali. I worked in Cali. And, for me, that was dope because I wanted to get to Cali. I just wanted to live there, and I was ready to get that done. So I came home. I was only home for 6 months. I came home for 6 months. Maybe, I stacked my money. I had my job. I was doing a job for them in Billerica. I worked in Billerica in billing, and then I went out to Cali, did that, and then that's how I got out. That's how I came back.
And now, when did the first passion or the first kind of like thought of, love in real estate come about? Because you're doing your thing in kind of like a different sphere, right?
Yeah.
So when does the real estate pop in?
Man, it's about probably like 2016. 2016, I come home, and that's because I realized like, yo, I love Cali, but it's expensive. I'm still making decent money, but it's just not enough to get what I wanted. I had a studio, by the beach, and that's the way I wanted to live. I didn't want to live in the, it's just quality of life of how I wanted to live, so I knew it was going to take a little bit more. So I said, man, let me go home. I'm going to buy a house, get some rentals. I came home. My dad, we own a 2-family. And so I took over the rental. He let me just take that over. the time he's getting $1,500 for a 3-bed. I take that over, we get $2,100 first swing. You know, so you know what I'm saying? That's significant.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So now that's the first time me and my dad's able to work together. You know what I mean? So you gotta, you know, for me that's huge because that's like in my household I'm understanding what the financial situation is. I'm not ignorant. You know, some kids they don't even realize like, yo, how are they making the Jordans happen? They don't even realize just that credit card, they owe 10 G's. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand that. I understood that. You know, it just was what it was. And they also didn't hide it. Like, we wasn't rocking J's. It just was what it was. It was cool, though. You know, we got some AIs. It was a vibe. So, yeah, man. So.
And did you see it as, like, easy money or, like, did it kind of just change your mind a little bit of, like, oh, I don't necessarily have to work to get paid every time?
Yeah, man. I think honestly, I just understood it as like a diligence thing. Like I think like if you're gonna get up and go to work every day, then it's nothing for me to get up and you know, do this piece to set this house up for X amount of days, and then once it's set up, you know, if you insure it and you maintain it, like it's not on me. You know, it's on those people that are in there, and I was just like, man, this is a lot easier to do and it's a lot easier to scale. And eventually, you know, I was just like, I could just not have to like, I could just be getting mailbox money. I was really just thinking I was gonna get a 2-family or 3-family, get that rent money and go back to Cali. And then like that rent would come to me and I would just pay my rent in Cali and I would live. That's just what I thought, you know.
And what ended up happening?
I had my son, you know what I'm saying? I had my son and so I found out I'm gonna have my son and I'm like, oh, you know, that light goes off again, boom. I gotta think differently here again. And so, you know, God bless Ebony. You know, we were like, you know, like this is a good play. We're gonna get a house. How we gonna do this? And I'm like, you know, I was really just adamant on like, yo, we need a 2-family. That's how we're gonna do this. If we do this way, then we can like, you know, and it's at that point for me, like I say this all the time to people and they don't realize like, yo, I'm a people. Like independent of me, I believe she should win in life. You know what I'm saying? So I think like, yeah, you should own a home. I should own a home. You should know how it works. And good, bad, and different. Everybody wins in life. You know what I'm saying? And so that was imperative for me that like you instill that, because I think that's another thing. Again, you talk about like, you know, when we get to wealth, how's that fall apart? It's like not properly like transition to information.
Right.
People keep thinking it's money. It's information. I can give you 100 million if you don't know what to do with it.
So it's funny that you say that because, like, you know, me and my fiance, we've talked back and forth about this, but of course, you know, she wants like the white picket fence and like the big 1-family right now, and I tell her, I'm like, yo, we can go get that. That's fine, but if we go get that right now, we're gonna be paying the mortgage for 30 whatever years, you know, or we can get these multifamilies. You get yourself one, I'll get myself a couple, and now we never have to come out of pocket for a mortgage again.
Yeah.
So the outcome's still the same. If we're in this together, then we're in this together.
Absolutely.
So the outcome's still the same. It's just, are you willing to set it up, you know, in a 5-year span rather than just get it?
And I tell you too, the outcome's kind of the same. The only difference is there's income involved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you get those first, like that income you get and then the appreciation in those assets. I mean, I'm telling you now, the first house that we bought in 16, it's up 200,000. Mm-hmm. It's equity. You know what I'm saying? That's like, man, like my kid's going to school. Okay, no problem. This is what we're gonna do. Mm-hmm. You know, this is how I started thinking. I started thinking like these certain things that just take care of milestones. Are you gonna take tax? Take the tax. Fine. But this pay, you know what I'm saying? Because you had to look at it that way. And so when you say that, man, is literally, I think, and that's my story. You know what I'm saying? That's what we did. You know, we paid the piper on that for a while. Like,
so you and your significant other, you guys were expecting a baby boy.
Yeah.
You buy a 2-family. Did you buy it together, separate?
Nah, that's hers. She bought that first. Yeah.
And then you guys are living on one side and renting out the other?
Yeah. So, okay. Yep. And so that's how that went. And we were living on one side. It was a great equity position. It was honestly an amazing purchase. I don't even know how it was on the market as long as it was, but it was a stale for us. And so she bought that one, and a year later I had closed on mines. At 17, I bought a 2-family in Randolph.
Now, question: what made you go 2-family instead of 3?
Some of this feels scripted because your questions is hitting, man. I'm not even gonna lie, no lie, right? Because and this is Eb, shout out to Eb, because at the time I could have bought a 3-family in Boston, and it was 600,000, bro. You know, and she's like, buy it, like, why you not buying it? And I'm just like, no, because I'm looking at the cash flow isn't hitting where I'm gonna want to be. It's just not. I wanted just, at the time I had this like rule, like $1,000. I just needed to make $1,000. That's 12 grand for the year. I could absorb any hit. That's solid, you know. And so that's how I was thinking. And we didn't. I didn't buy it. So I bought a 2-family in Randolph for 470 because it was on the market for 440, and I got tired of losing. So I went 30 grand over asking and won for 470. Right. And so I say that to say, full circle, those 3 families in Boston now are worth 1.2 million.
Crazy, yeah.
You know, so a lot of times I say it too, is like, if you're just awake at the wheel, and like me, I'm counting my losses. I'm counting them every trip, because that's where I'm learning the most. It was like, all right, why didn't I get that? I know right now I didn't buy that house because it was fear. I didn't know what to do. I know what to do today. You know what I'm saying? It's different. So, and the piece for me was I didn't hide from it. After we bought the house in 17, we didn't buy nothing for 2 years. And I was fear at that time too. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know where to go. I didn't know how to start, and I let that, you know, I was out walking, touring houses, and man, I would go see a house and come back, and 6 months later it's on the market. Guy flipped it. Now I'm seeing like, oh, what did he do? How much is he selling it for? And I'm backing into the numbers. I'm like, damn, how much did he do? But this is where I'm stuck. I'm not offering on nothing. That was my hurdle.
That one thing about fear, I think it can relate to anyone pretty much starting anything new. You're going to have your kind of bumps in the road. You're going to have those, damn, I should have done this instead of this. And I just feel like the earlier you get those out the way, the better. You know what I mean? I feel like people take losses, or people take them not having the full information as a loss or as a failure. However, if you're able to make better moves down the line, then it's just a learning lesson. For real.
It's learning. And I think, man, like, and I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, like, yo, where'd you learn this? Man, I'm self-taught. You know, I'm self-taught. Like, I got a degree in accounting. I worked in corporate America doing, you know, financial analyst. I was a senior financial analyst for 4 years. Like, so yeah, like, I'm financially educated. So that gives me a better grip. You know what I mean? It makes me really bankable. I understand it. But I think, you know, the gaps that I had were business, and not business. I mean, we're in the construction side, how to estimate is how to do it. Man, I wish I could check my YouTube, bro. I gotta have 10,000 hours watched on YouTube, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just watched them. I went out. I went and toured houses. I went and sat with the banker. Man.
So before getting into that,
Yeah,
now you had, you know, you bought basically 2 families at this point. Now, you know, that income's coming in. When do you start buying, you know, properties that have been, you know, forgotten about, dismembered, et cetera, et cetera? When do you start buying those, renovating and flipping? Because I feel like that's what caught my attention and, you know, a lot of other people. But when did you start that process as opposed to keep on doing what you were doing with like buying multifamilies?
Yeah, so at this point, man, like I said, 2018, 2019, we don't buy anything. And this goes right into it, is at that point, I started a business and I was making the cash flow to get ready to do this, to your point. Because now we're at the point where you have to be putting, you know, 20% down is what everybody talks about. Right. And so, you know, this is a good note point for some people right here, is like, you know, I got around and understood like my level of experience with real estate at that point, and especially I collaborate with my partner, Dwayne, now. So we realized like, look, we could get a rehab house, and we're at a point now with a level of experience between the two of us and how much real estate we own, we could be putting down, you know, 10%. You know what I'm saying? Or even if we're putting 20% down, the equity in the house is huge. And so a lot of this, to explain this, is going to be, we probably need to do an example of a house, right? Because I think the numbers are important. But, you know, we jump off the porch in 2020, September 2020. It's actually the 25th. Today's the 26th.
26. Yeah.
Yesterday was an anniversary, man. First house ever bought. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that. We bought a 3-family in New Bedford. That's when we jumped off. And I started this thing called AIP. It's on Instagram at AIP Series. And that's when I started teaching people.
And how much did you buy the 3-family for?
We bought that 3-family for $179,000. Okay. And that's when the pandemic hits. And so pandemic's going on. Funny story on that house real quick. A previous investor had bought it. He had bought it for $139,000. He had it for like a year and was sitting in it. So in those 2 years, remember I told you I was just tracking, I was learning. I learned how to look through that stuff. So that's when that deal came about. I was like, oh, we got one, D. You know, I hit him, we're excited, like, we can go get this. We go see the thing, it's a monster. It's 11 beds, 3 baths. We pretty much, it's all new systems, everything. And that house we bought for $179,000. We put 10% down on that deal, and that was so $17,900 plus closing costs. Like, you know, nobody ever talks about closing costs.
Oh yeah, no, especially, you know, since 2020, you know, the buyer kind of had to front everything. Like the whoever's selling it doesn't really have to give anything towards the.
That was that was when COVID like had just kind of was like really amplifying, and like everybody was at home. You know what I'm saying? We used to go on the roads. There was no one on the road, no traffic to get there. So it was an interesting time. And
so what was wrong with it for only selling for that price?
Oh man, that one was terrible. We probably had to put a picture on that. That's terrible. That's the one when you see the Fast to the Moon remix on. But it needed everything. Literally, it needed new kitchens, new bathrooms. It had no heating systems. It used what's called space heaters. A lot of people see them. It's common in New Bedford, right? So it had those. It's terrible. Each floor is over 1,100 square feet. That thing can't heat 1,100 square feet. And it was so many walls. It wasn't even an open concept that the airflow could never obtain that, you know? So
the down payment plus the closing costs, probably around 25.
Yeah, we probably had like 25, yeah.
And then how much money did you guys collectively have to put into it?
I mean, me and D, we went half on that. You know what I'm saying? Me and D, we showed up half. We went 50-50 on it. You talking about how much did we put work?
After, yeah.
Oh, work. So we went in with a $120,000 budget. And we actually ended up, it took $170 to do it.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. So the 120 budget, is that cash that you guys had, or it was a loan?
No, so let's rewind. So let's just step through the deal real quick, and I think it'll probably answer a lot of that too. So you go in, we're buying the house $179. You put 10% down, and then they're gonna fund the remaining 90%. Plus the rehab money, they're gonna give it to you.
Oh, they're gonna give. Okay.
But see, the rehab game is where a lot of people fumble, because the rehab, you know, it's estimated before you even close on the loan. So you know, for us, like that was our first time estimated it. Like we came up 50,000 light in the number. So imagine if he was even worse than that. So anyhow, we come in light on that number anyhow. But what happens is it goes on a line. So they're holding that. You know what I'm saying? So when we close, they disperse the money to the seller. They send him his cut plus our money, and then they hold the rental money on a line for us. So now as you complete the work, so you gotta have some money to start. As you complete the work, you can call out for a draw. The guys will come out, they send an inspector, he inspects what's been done. He said they send in a report, says this is what % complete you're done in all these areas, and then they'll release X amount of money to you. All right. And so, you know, this is, again, you know, a lot of guys drop the ball, is like your ability to understand what's happening on the construction site is very important, because your contractor might be telling you something's done that's not done, or that it's further along than it is, and you're not understanding what you need in order to get those things. And again, I go back to those 2 years of just learning. That's what I was learning.
And now with the flips, there's always like a time constraint, correct?
Yeah, I mean, usually those loans is a year long. Guys go out to 18 months, depends on how the size of the project. You know, our first 2 deals on those took us a year. I mean, but we had them going at the same time. I had 3 deals going at the same time my first year out. So this story is a little bit unique in itself. But so you'll get that money on the draw, and then as you complete the work, they can release it to you. I'm at the point now where when you start talking about where you get to, is like, you know, I bring in investors, and I'm trying to grow. You know, like I got guys that come like, Troy, I got, you know, 10,000. I'm trying to, you know, so I'm trying to create a way where we can do something with the community where it's like, yo, You can put money up. You can come and learn. You can get a dividend on your money, and we can grow as a community. You know what I mean?
And between flips
Mm-hmm.
and property that you held on, how many houses have you like acquired and slash flip and sold?
I mean, at this point, so like when we say flip, let's clarify too. Like when we say flip, the first step of the flip is just taking it from distress to rehab. I try not to practice as much of the selling side because I'm trying to build wealth. I have a son. You know what I'm saying? So
So you're flipping and keeping.
we're keeping. You know what I'm saying? We've sold of the we did one, two, three, four. We did four full guts. We did four full guts last year. We only sold one, and the only reason we sold one is because we raised money from some private investors, and we wanted to pay them back. You know what I mean? We want to get them their money back, and for us, we didn't really even know another way to necessarily keep it. Like we could have refinanced it, but it just wasn't going to get us the numbers we wanted. So we sold that house, and that deal was amazing. It was a great deal.
Yeah, I heard basically when it comes to real estate, if you want to get rich, you sell. If you want to get wealthy, you hold.
That's it. I mean, and I think too, there's a piece of it too of like, I'm not out here just doing this to do it. Like I know it looks cool too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's work, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I started, like that was strain on the house. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm coming home 2 a.m. driving from New Bedford. You know what I mean? I'm in New Bedford. Everybody's joking, like, you bought a house in New Bedford. This is before New Bedford blows. This is before everybody decides to buy the news. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been seeing the story. You could have went on and seen the plans that the train was going. We've been knew that. That's why we bought down there. We bought 2 houses down there. We bought a 2-family for $165.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We was down there and we understood it. And so, for me, it's like I'm going in here. I'm gonna spend this amount of energy on this house. I'm not gonna just take no $100,000 in this first year. I mean, look at guys that sold their houses in 2020, and if they would have held it to 2022, they would have made another 150.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you in it for money, you kicking yourself.
Right. And now, if you're someone like me who's never done a flip or renovated any property, thankfully, the property I have, it was pretty much renovated when I got it, so I didn't even really have to do any renovations. What can you tell the viewership if they're interested in fixing and holding, fixing and flipping, either way? If you could give a quick step-by-step from everything. So when you first are interested, you look and see how much money you need first. Like what are the initial steps, and kind of like really break it down. But
let's divide those. Usually, I mean, to my first time home buyers, you know what I'm saying? I think everybody before they invest, in just my opinion, you should exercise your first time home buyer. You should go get your occupancy. You should get something that affords you that. And I'll say that for 2 reasons, right? One is because it's gonna allow you an ability to buy something, to your point, that's probably fully renovated, where you need no work to be done, and only need to potentially put anywhere from 3%. I mean, honestly, you could put 0% down. And we could do a whole session on that, to be real. You can go anywhere from 0% down to 5% down and be in something very stable, multifamily even, and then be able to turn around and use that property now secondarily to access equity and be able to take that equity via either a cash out refi or, which I don't really promote, but a home equity line of credit to access to be able to start your investments. And I think, for me, that was what we did, and that's what allowed us to start. And I think the next thing from there is really just from a step-by-step thing is, you have to be sound on your financials. There's a point here where in order to start, you got to understand like what you can truly afford. And I'm not saying what the bank tells you they can afford, because you get approved based on your gross income. That's before taxes,
correct,
before everything, you know what I'm saying? But you live off your net. And then for a lot of people that have a lot of deductions in there, it's a big gap. And you don't want them to approve you for that and not be able to go. And so step by step, I would say the first thing is, you got to get pre-approved. I know there's a big fear about getting pre-approved, get your credit pulled and whatever. But I would say if you're not doing anything with your credit anyway right now and you're not planning to buy this year, it's something you can still go complete the exercise to do. It will allow you to get your credit report is gonna also give you an idea of where you are in the game, and you may be surprised. And you talk about guys that are like, you know what, I don't even care where I am. I just want to start. That's a very important thing. I would say, I would tell
Knowing
you,
what kind of credit score you got.
yeah. I mean, honestly, man, you don't even like Toby just said. It's more important to start. If there's anything I could ever say, man, like we bought our first house. I was 20. I was 26. You know what I'm saying? 20. I'm 31 now, and you know, we have eight houses, 8 properties. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and that's really just because last year we went crazy. But um, I think that's a piece of just starting,
Right.
you know, and not being fearful of that.
So after the credit score, you get your credit check. Say if your credit's decent, where do you go from there?
So credit's decent. You want to go ahead and figure out what avenue you want to buy in. A lot of people just go straight to the agent, and I think what you need to do is evaluate what type of agent you need, right? So you know, if you're thinking you want to do an investment, you want to go into real estate, you want to, you know, find good equity and things, you need to find people that understand that. You know what I'm saying? People working with real estate agents that don't own a home. You know what I'm saying? That's fine if he doesn't. But then now you need to understand, how do I validate him outside of that? Oh, like how many transactions have you done? What have you done? Like that's very important. That's gonna help you understand what type of experience you're gonna have. And there's nothing wrong with working with somebody that's new. But you need to respect that they're new, and then they can respect, you know what I'm saying? But otherwise, you're not going to have the same,
Right.
the reciprocated energy on what you're going to get out of that. So from there, you get that right agent. And I think now you're equipped to go out and go look at the right type of house. And, you know, for me, to anybody that's coming from where I come from in life, I'm telling guys every time, like, yo, let's just stay down for a little bit longer. I stayed down, bro. Me and my girl, we was in that 2 family, and Ed wanted out of there bad. She said, "There's not enough space, Troy. This is it. There's not enough space," and we was in there. And you know, we cash flow. It allowed us to save a lot of money, and then we ended up buying a house at an auction, that we rehabbed. It was actually, I mean, it was a blessing. Truly, it was a steal. And again, that's on IG. I posted that. That was a steal. We went in, hit the breakers. We had maybe about 15 leaks in the ceilings, bunch of busted pipes, but other than that, everything worked.
So, you know, you go out, and what can you tell them to look for, what not to look for
In the house, you're saying?
Yeah, especially like if it's their first time doing it.
Yeah, so I would say, generally speaking, in the house, you're looking for good working systems, meaning if the house is currently being lived in, that's an easy sign. You know, what was the last use of the house? If it's a multifamily, are they both currently occupied? How recent were they occupied? That's huge. I would be looking for also understanding potentially what the house actually is recorded as, right? So some people get into, like, especially if you're looking for multifamilies, making sure that your agent and whoever else is on your team is really making sure that it's really a multifamily, and can be that way when you show up to rent it, it can be rented as such. There's a lot of, you know, finished basements, quirky business that, you know, it's not really the way you want to go. So I would say learn to ask those questions of like, hey, can you show me how I know that this is definitely a 2 family, and not having that's probably actually a bigger one, like checking that ego at the door. And when I say ego, it's like the pride of like not asking certain questions. Like if you don't know, like truly ask. Like it's the biggest purchase you could potentially ever make if you never buy another, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
And okay, so they go, they think that they have a good deal. Um, you know, where does finding a solid crew comes in that actually does the renovations? Like, how does
I
that
think
play in?
so. We kind of jumped. Now we're on like the run. You sound like you're talking more like something you were rehabbing.
Yep.
So if it was something we were rehabbing, honestly, there's that's a little different. You want to work with an agent that knows how to find rehabs and helps you understand equity positions. Very important. Like ARV, after repair value. That means what's the house gonna be worth after we renovate it.
Mm-hmm.
Current value, what is it worth today? Comps, you know what I'm saying?
Which I didn't know that they already kind of put that money aside for you. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but all of that is based, and this is what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's all based in the deal. So when you go to buy that house, like that 3 family we bought for 179, let's just use an example because it's easier. That one we bought for 179. When we did it, we thought it was gonna be worth 380, right? And so everything was based on 380. And so it's all about equity positions with the banks. They don't want to see you be over equivocally about 75% value. Meaning, after we buy the house, after the money we give you to buy the house, plus how much we give you to loan, the rental on,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want that total amount to be worth more than 75% of what the house is worth. It's future value.
Right.
Make sense? So it's very important that you're able to do this math. Number one, the bank, that's a good sign to the bank. Like, does this guy know what he's doing? When we were doing these deals, all of our deals was under about 65. There was 65%, 70%. So the bank loved it. They were great deals, and then the market appreciated. By the time we finished Fort Wash, which is that one, the 3-family, that one was we appraised for 460. You know, so, and that was the market. So that market elevated us. You know what I'm saying? So we just picked up 80 grand in equity just off of that. And so what we're talking about right now, again, is wealth. Now, imagine if we had just flipped it, turned around, and just sold it. Right now, 3-family New Bedford like that, I mean, it's $500,000. It's $500,000 for that. You can't get, I mean, we have hanging hoods, and you've seen the IG, man. I mean, we did that house to, you know, I hope you don't see the building spec. I mean, I don't care if he sees, I shouldn't say that. He literally said to me, loud, he's like, what are you doing, hanging hoods? This is New Bedford. You know what I mean? And I was like, I mean, I guess, dude, but, you know, there's nice people everywhere.
Yeah, somebody want it.
Somebody want it. There's doctors, lawyers, everybody. And,
Right,
and even if it's not that, like, regular people don't want that.
So the people that work and actually renovate the place, where did you find yours? Is it the same group of people? Walk through that process.
Nah, so honestly, man, we and this is just level set too. Like, remember, like, this is really year 2 for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna stand here and act like I'm 10 years in the game.
Right.
Like, this is year 2 in the flip world, like, of rehab and renovate. So I find those people, man, it's really just resourcefulness, word of mouth, finding guys that are in the space like me, asking, like, who you use for this, where you go. I try to add value though, right? So, like, if I'm showing up asking you for a guy, I got a guy to give you for something too. You know what I mean? Or I got a deal to give you, or I got a lender to give you. Really, for me, what I try to add a lot of easy value for me is just, like, finance stuff with a lot of my guys. Like, if they're coming around, like, yo, like, I can help you look at a deal different way, think about things creatively, help you rethink your portfolio. Like, that's my world, because that's what I come from. You know what I'm saying? I was in corporate America doing that. So it's just an easy value add. And then I would say another one that people just really overlook, and it's an effort play, is just hitting Home Depot 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, even on a weekday morning.
See who's outside.
Just pull up, see who's outside, man. You're gonna see there's gonna be trucks out there. You walk through them aisles, everybody's in there, and it's also a thing of when you're in there, people, you'll realize, like, those guys, they're out there really trying to live every day, bro. Like, it's not people don't realize, like, how hard they're really trying to find work. Like, there's bad people out there doing this, you know what I'm saying, that are not good at what they do. But the ones that are working hard, that are there at 6:30 every morning, that consistently go, that are finding work consistently and doing it, bro, they care about that.
Right.
They don't have a pipeline without us finding them and us giving them work. So I think that's a really good, like, grassroots way to do it, because it's a way to catch a guy at an hour. You know, like, I know when I see you here at 6:30, you got something in you. You either behind on a project making up, or you really just, this is how you operate, because you're going to get to that site early, and I love that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then the last one, which, you know, I used to use a lot more, I don't use it as much, but is, you know, using sites like Thumbtack, because guys are already, they have reviews on there. Usually they have, like, some type of, like, screening. I even say that to a lot of the women looking for stuff. TaskRabbit.
Right.
Those are good, especially for, like, smaller projects, just to meet some, you know, niche people. I think especially when you have smaller project, which is, some people, it's hard to understand, like, what's a small project. Like, small project would be, I just want to change the vanity in the bathroom. Like, it's very hard to come to me and me give you guys I use, because guys I use are looking for, like, sizable projects to, like, keep them occupied. Now, if they're slow, well, obviously they might go do it, but I try not to make a habit of it, because it just isn't really a good situation. But
Right. And now the success that you've kind of achieved from doing this, has it opened your mind to understanding, like, you know, everybody wants to become a millionaire, everyone wants to be wealthy. And, you know, to you, is real estate really maybe the quickest way of going about that?
Man, quickest. I was, you know, that's a trick question, right, bro? And this is why, because, like, it is the quickest, I would say, in my opinion, if you're willing to take the stairs, though. Like, I took the stairs. I'm taking the stairs. When you see me do a full gut, like, that's taking the stairs. Guys don't really want to do it. But, you know, I would say, like, it's not necessarily a get rich quick thing, because there is market flows, and so if you're not buying right, you can get caught in those.
Right.
But I think it's the most. I mean, it's made the most millionaires. I mean, that's where the most wealth resides. It provides the most stability. It hedges against inflation. There's things like that. Like right now, people still don't understand, like, how come houses still overpriced? Well, because wealthy people that just have cash sitting in their bank account, they'd rather overpay for a piece of real estate and just put the money in there and let that appreciate over time
have it sit in their
than
bank
to
account.
have it sit in the bank account and it lose worth.
Right.
So certain things there, it allows you those kind of things, and it can also afford you cash flow in that place. So
And now, when you go into these properties that are really worn down and you do these amazing kind of renovations, do you already picture in your head what the end project's going to look like? Or, do you and your partner go back and forth? Or while you're in the process of doing it, you're like, oh, wait, this would actually be dope if we did it like this? How does that go?
yeah, honestly, I feel like at this point now, or even before, like that first second walkthrough in there, man, like you kind of know what you're gonna do in there. At least for me, like I feel like it just sounds weird, but like I could just see through walls, like I could feel the space, and as long as it's structurally allowable, I'm like, oh, would be dope in here.
And I really want you to know that that's like a God-given kind of talent / blessing, because someone like me, like, I can't do that at all.
No,
like I already know my forever house will probably like already be did by the time I get in. Like, I can't do any of that. So like for you to just like go in a place and just imagine it 10 times better and like boom, 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 like that's truly a talent. And I think it's dope that you found a talent, found something that you're passionate in, and you're kind of like going full throttle with it. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
We're gonna step into this or that question. So I'm gonna say this or that. You give me an answer, and with a brief description on why. All right. Hot or cold?
Cold, because I can put a blanket on, get warm, or this and that can change.
Would you rather be loved or respected?
Loved, and I think because love it, when you're loved, it comes from a true, genuine place, and people could respect you for the wrong reasons. I mean, and that can enter your downfall.
Boston or New Bedford real estate?
Boston. I'm gonna say Boston because that's where I'm currently doing my current project. But I would say that's a double edge because New Bedford, I still think is gonna be one of the best places to be in the next 3 to 5 years if this train really works out. I think as an investor, I think even just as people that just understand like quality of life that place can afford you, if the community is there the right way and it flows.
Now, when you say train, just for our viewership, it's...
Yeah, so I've alluded to it, right? So free, I mean, it's kind of late, but I think I shouldn't say that. It's not. It's always, news is always on time. So there's a train going. So there's I think it's on the South Coast rail system, I think is what it's called. But right now there's no commuter rail system that goes down there. Nothing goes through New Bedford, Taunton, Fall River. So if you're coming up, and this is a true hack, right? So you want to learn a real estate hack? I'll give a free one too. Watch the news in the morning and look at the traffic radar in the morning. And if you can look at where the most traffic is coming from, you can generally hedge on where people are having to commute from. So that's probably where it's more affordable to live, and this is where the community come to get money, right? And so when you look at things like that, infrastructure wise, those are the things that you're gonna see governments and towns try to go after, because that's how you solve tax dollars. Like, New Bedford is gonna get better people. There's more people gonna go live there. Like you see people buying the multis there now, and they're gonna get better tax dollars now. And the reason being is like you also have a train system coming there now. So now people can get from New Bedford to Boston and go work, whereas before they couldn't unless they drove, and that commute is ridiculous.
Right.
So I say that.
So you can, get your Boston money and chill back out in New Bedford.
Yeah, I mean, Boston for me, like, I'm at a point now where, man, I'm a strategic investor, and like I'm gonna go find deals and just like do creative things. And so, I'm not really limited, if you would, necessarily by capital, if you would. Like, I'm at a point now where, like, I'm trying to go raise, with the community and go put on and, like, put together. So I'm not really like, oh, no, I
I'm
can't raise
definitely
that.
taking that, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not limited by capital. That was a fancy way to say something else, which I'm not gonna say, but I'm
Nah.
not limited by capital. I like that.
And it's not even to say it's necessarily me, but I realized, man, like, first year out, we raised 150,000 to go do deals, right? And so that opened my mind that, like, man, it's not just about my money. And yes, to your point, like, we've understand different things now, so we are afforded that. But that's why I say that. I think New Bedford, though, that train's going there. Market rent, quick tidbit, right? Market rent New Bedford, 4-bedroom, 4-bedroom is still $1,600. Okay, that's insane. A 3-bedroom, I just stopped rent increases $3,000 in Randolph, still in Boston. So there's still so much room there. The upside's there. The train's gonna be there. It's just gonna turn into a question of whether or not, for me, in my opinion, if that job market can turn a corner. But the commuters are real. So
Yeah. When it's all said and done, who's gonna be known as the all-time great GOAT, if you will? MJ or LeBron?
I'm going LeBron. I think, I just think a lot of it comes down to impact beyond just
Basketball.
yeah. And I think, at a certain point, the people and the amount of youth and the way that his image is going to be upheld and how it will go, it will be very hard to translate. I mean, it's similar to how sometimes it feels to argue the GOAT thing with MJ right now. I think we just got so many people, a lot of people arguing, haven't even seen him play. You know what I mean? But so I think it'll be LeBron.
All right, this next section is smooth or not smooth. So I'm gonna give a statement. You just let me know if you think it's smooth or not smooth.
All right.
$500 first dates.
Ooh, not smooth.
Not smooth.
Not smooth. Why? Because first date we ain't get. That's too invested with no failure. Like I don't know. Like at this point, you could just $500 first date. Nah. That's not. There's no creativity in that. All you did is invest money. Like no thought to the date.
What
nothing.
if you thought it was worth the investment?
Again, and this is a guy, it's me. Like money for me, this is a resource. So if that's the first thing we're leaning to, it's like, damn. Like I need you to lean on the creativity first. Like like give me something different. Like this walk, this place because this place. You know what I'm saying? Like if we happen to spend 500 there, like I guess fine. I guess. But like to just leave it is like we're just going to Mastro's because it's gonna be like no, I'm not giving you that. I'm sorry.
Surgery abs.
Not smooth.
All right. Splitting rent with your significant other.
Splitting rent with your that's smooth. That's smooth if you want to come up. If you want to like, you know what I'm saying. If you want to come up and y'all really get where y'all going, that's smooth. You know what I'm saying.
Social media.
It's smooth. It's smooth. I think the only reason it wouldn't be is how people interpret it. I'm gonna make a point to start posting some not so pretty things too. So
Yeah, I think people will like that too.
Yeah, I think there's more. It's important.
Who are your two best friends? You can have more, but just name two.
Yeah. My closest one's probably Ike and Arrow.
Okay, so if I go up to Ike, if I go up to Arrow, and I say, what's the biggest thing that Trizz needs to improve on? What would each one of them tell me?
He would probably tell you my patience or something like that, which is good because he's been which is funny you say because he's been a reason I've worked on something like that. You know what I mean? So that's probably a real one. I probably give a real example instead of something in the future. And Ike would probably just be to have more fun. You know what I mean? That guy, I love how he lives. You know what I mean? He's alive, truly. You know what I mean? So I'm working on that. That's where we're headed. But I had to get through the trenches real quick so we could have that. You know what I mean? Right. So humbly.
Who or what is your biggest inspiration?
Um, my parents, man. I just seen how hard they worked. You know, it's a testament. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm just like, man, I seen what they did, and to get where I got, you know what I mean, coming from it. You know, my parents are from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? I used to go back twice a year. You know what I'm saying, on the minimum wage. So it would be them, and for certain.
If you could pick up your family, if you know the job didn't matter, money was
It
an
doesn't.
object.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
um, what city would you move to and why? If you could live in any city,
In the states or anywhere.
anywhere.
Oh man, I would honestly, man, I would live everywhere. Is that an okay answer? Can I get out with that?
Might have to explain yourself.
I'll
on
explain it too, because this is something I'm creating. Like, I believe in being a citizen of the world. I'm well traveled, you know what I mean, and I think that every part of the world has a different, kind of view on life in different ways in some way or another. And especially once I traveled outside the U.S., I think here we're very capitalistic. It just is what it is. And for me, it's been a blessing to just see how other countries live, and that was one of the reasons that helped me focus on, like, what I'm doing. That's why I say I don't want people to get lost in the money, because it's not about money. I just want to be able to do literally what you said. I want the freedom to just go do that. Like, we travel, like, because that's what we want, the freedom. I want, like, that's what matters, not any other stuff. So to be able to live anywhere and just be able to move around, like,
If you had to pick one city,
ooh, I probably do Dubai right now, and that's really only just because I really just love, how the freedom of thought is there. They're very robust on what they're creating. It's a very new country, 50 years old. And a fun tab at, right? Like, that country's oil is owned by the country. The United States oil is owned by individuals,
right?
right? So that oil money pays for their common goods amongst everyone. In our world, that oil money pays for my lineage. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I had it, yeah, maybe I probably would be like, yeah, I don't want to hear it. But I don't, and so it affords me a different thought. And so when I look at countries like that, I'm like, everybody would be better off if we afforded that. And that guy that is running that oil rig, you probably really got a great mind because you ran that business. You probably could run something else too. You probably could be the one that runs the business and just gets paid for it. So there's that.
If you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh, dead or alive, dead or alive. That's a tricky one. I don't even have these type of things honestly these days. I'm sorry. This is crazy. I don't know. I think at this point it would probably be. Matter of fact, no, I do know. I take that back. And at my guy when he gets this too, Drew Bernard.
Drew Bernard.
Drew Bernard.
Okay.
Right now, at the Brooklyn Bank. I love what he's doing in Brooklyn. That's why I would have lunch with.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make that happen straight off this.
There you go.
All right.
When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
Just as a humble person, honestly, as a loving person, and somebody that was just there for everybody that needed me. You know what I mean? And within my circle, because that for me has always been the role I think I played. You know what I'm saying? So.
And for anyone out there who's kind of down on their luck or, on their path to success, hit a big road bump and, kind of fell on their ass and they're looking for some motivation, what can you tell that viewer out there to kind of get them back on the successful path?
I would say, man, like, once you feel like you've hit the lowest point, if you can acknowledge it, it's only up, because I've been there, and I'm gonna tell you, like, as long as you can acknowledge and have a reference point to it of a pain or a moment you never want again, you'll never go there again if you truly don't want that feeling. You know what I mean? And I think for me, and I'm telling you as a dude, like, I've been fired from a job. You know what I'm saying? A job that I checked out of mentally, but when you fired me, I realized, like, shit, that was real. And, like, the psyche that would play with you, you'd be like, damn. But that moment I was at, I told you I was building a business. What brought me back was when I was at that moment, I got a check for $8,000. And it reminded me like, yo, this is the lowest moment today, but I've done so many great things behind me, and there's so many great ones ahead that I had no point to keep looking at that single point. That shit happened. That part of my land.
No,
I
you're
had a
good.
good
You're
one
good.
too. That's only gonna happen one time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It can only happen to you one time, and you learn from that. So there's mine.
Got
You know what I
you.
mean?
Got you. Well, I definitely appreciate you for down here and sharing some gems, sharing some knowledge on the flip game. Um, the last thing I want to talk about is you currently accepting people hitting you up if they have some money laying around and want to invest with you? Are you open just to receiving random DMs on that, or is there a filter process? Can you just talk about like if somebody
Yeah.
wants to get into what you got going on, but they want to be really passive? They're like,
Yeah.
hey, you're the guy that does everything. I'm gonna give you my few thousand, my 10,000,
Yeah.
my 20,000, and then you do the rest. Are you open to that, or what's the filter process like?
Yeah, so I would say definitely open to the DMs. Really just in that it's cool to just know who's looking to do what. And it's good to just identify people, create, connection. That's just real, because I'll be honest, like, I won't just do it with a random. So like once we do connect, there's ways that we're gonna continue, because we'll start to have some meet and greets, like not meet and greets, but like get-togethers on this type of stuff. Again, back to just doing it live in person, answering questions, teaching it, first time home buyer seminars, that type of stuff. We're gonna get to going. So just being able to have people show up to that and meet them would be great. And a lot of times, just connecting on social media is an easy way for you to see it when I post it on my story or something. So I'm open on that. And then in regards to like the money, yes, like that's huge, and we're setting up that process in terms of to be able to live go do it. And really is that just being like, for me, I'm very like, clean business guy. Like, this is like a lawyer documented like thing. Like, this is not just money handed in an envelope thing.
Right.
So just making sure that's nice and tight, and making sure that I feel like what I'm giving people, because this is the truest thing about it, is when I'm doing it with you, I really want to do it with people that are looking to learn, or like, that's the first candidate. You know what I'm saying? If there's people that just are looking to just put up money, that's one thing. And usually those people are putting up significantly more money than just 10. But if it's guys that are like, I'm putting up 10 because I'm trying to get my first house, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? And like you sharing that with me helps me share the energy and like trying to help you attain that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like when I say like, yo, I really be connected to people, and that's why for me it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I really do. Like I take that on. Like, yo, when you trying to win, bro, and you tell me that, I really want
So
you
like
to.
whoever you connect with, you want to actually make sure that they win.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
And do good.
Yeah.
You don't want to just take their money and
I don't
scram.
believe in wasted energy, man. Like, why would I? Like, for me, it's like, why am I making that guy $1 that's gonna leave and go somewhere else tomorrow?
Right.
Like I want to help you make $1 for whatever purpose it was. Like I got kids. I got, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't just flip houses. Like, and I'm probably gonna have to, like I'm saying, because we just talked about it, how to be able to continually grow. But I just believe in people, man. I'm community. Like, I just believe in that, and I think, the stronger that core community is, like, just the better your life is, your kids' life is, and that's really what I'm about, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out, and I hope that these next few years you grab even more houses. I'll probably get in on a couple of them, and
You're gonna get in, you're gonna get in on a couple of them. I'm big on speaking things into existence,
sir.
right? So you're gonna get on a couple of them, man. And I appreciate y'all having me. Wishing you much success on the podcast. I know you're gonna have it, and it's a blessing. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying,
sir.
to be here.
Alrighty, take care.